don't really know. So there is mixed evidence in the literature. There is also mixed evidence, anecdotal evidence. There is some reason to think that older adults take less risks, that they're more risk averse. But there is also some reason to think that they're actually more risk seeking, at least under some situations. So it seems like there is no one trajectory that fits all in what changes in risk-taking behavior. These changes depend on the context, on the domain of decision, on the experimental paradigm also. As we heard this morning, these experimental paradigms are very important, and subtle differences can lead to differences in behavior. How exactly the decision is framed, for example. But understanding these changes is very, very important because of the prevalent risk in any decision that we make. So if we really want to understand the decisions that older adults make and the preferences that they have, we need to try and understand these changes. And I'm going to talk today about one focus study that we did in order to try and explain how we start to think about this in my lab. So if you look at the literature, there's actually quite a few studies now suggesting that at least in the following particular situation, older adults are actually more risk averse than young adults. And this is when the decisions are from description rather than experience, from feedback, learning from feedback. When the probabilities of different options are precisely known, so it's decision under risk rather than ambiguity. And then when choices are between possible rewards, so usually monetary rewards, and specifically when the choice is between a certain option and a risky option. And I think that it's safe to say that under these particular conditions, at least, older adults are more risk averse. And this is one of our studies that found the same thing. Subjects were making a series of choices between a certain amount of $5 and then a lottery. In this case, this is a 50% chance of gaining $20. And in order to characterize the behavior of our subjects in the experiment, we modeled their choice behaviors. It's the standard expected utility model. Basically, we model the expected utility of each option as PV to the alpha, so P and V are the probability and amount of each option. Alpha is the important factor. This is the individual risk tolerance parameter, as you probably know. So if alpha is 1, it means the individual is not affected by risk. They will treat $5 for sure the same as 50% chance of $10. But if alpha is lower than 1, this is a risk-averse subject that would prefer $5 for sure over the 50% chance of $10. And conversely, a risk-seeking subject would have an alpha of more than 1. And we use that in a simple logistic choice function that is just a function of the difference in expected utilities between the options. And then we did that in a bunch of adults, and this is around 35 individuals in each age group, young, midlife, and older adults. And as you can see, everybody is risk averse to some degree on average. All the age groups are risk averse on average. The alpha is below 1. But older adults in our experiment were significantly more risk averse compared to the other groups. And so we're interested to know if this is a real thing. Can we identify any neurobiological marker, any neurobiological correlate of these changes in behavior? And we actually had such a marker from a previous study that we did in young adults. In that study, we found that this area in the posterior parietal cortex predicts individual risk attitude. So the more gray matter volume in this area that you have, the more risk tolerant or less risk averse you are, or on average. This is what you see here, risk tolerance as function of gray matter volume, and we replicated that in 2 independent samples. Now, of course, gray matter volume decreases in aging. It decreases all over, collaboration with Michael Brab and Paul Winter at NYU. Subjects again made a series of choices between $5 and varying lotteries of 3 different probabilities, 20 different amounts. Very simple, they just had to choose to press one of 2 buttons to indicate their choice. There was no feedback during the experiment. At the end, one trial was selected and played for real money. And then what Michael did is he focused on this region of interest from the previous study in right posterior parietal cortex. And the first thing he had to show is that indeed the volume of this area decreases with age in our sample. And indeed it did. This is the volume of RPPC gray matter, and this is age. We had 52 subjects between the ages of 18 and 19. So check on that. The second thing that we had to show was that risk tolerance in our experiment indeed decreases with age. And in order to do that, we used the economic approach of fitting all of the choices of all of our data together, but we included a predictor that accounts for the variance in age in our data. So the coefficient of this predictor tells us how much effect age has on risk attitude in our population. So we should expect it to be negative and significant, and that's exactly what we saw. And then the next thing is to replicate our previous result that shows the association between right PPC gray matter volume and risk attitude. So again, we modeled alpha, but now we included, we accounted for variance in our PPC gray matter volume in our data. So we expect the coefficient now to be positive and significant. And indeed, that's what we saw. And this is just to illustrate how it looks. We also model each individual risk attitude in order to be able to plot it versus their individual gray matter volume in this cortical area, and you see that there is some correlation. And so now we have replicated all of these pairwise correlations in this triangle. And so the critical question is now, does this neural measure mediate the other two? And so we needed to include both measures within the same model. And then what we found, gray matter volume in RPPC is indeed significant, but age is no longer significant. And just to illustrate that, these are again the individual risk attitudes as a function of age when we regress the RPPC gray matter volume out. So you see that there's basically nothing left. But if we plot it as a function of RPPC gray matter volume regressing age out, we still see a positive correlation. At this stage, you can ask, well, how do you know that this finding is specific to this right PPC volume, right? Because we know that there is decreasing gray matter volume all over. So the next thing we have to control for is this global gray matter volume. And so we included both the RPPC gray matter volume and the global gray matter volume within the same model. The RPPC was still significant, the global gray matter volume was not. And then the most strict test would be to include all of our variables together in the same model. So age, RPPC, and global gray matter volume. And to be honest, I didn't think that it would work, but Michael went ahead and did it anyway. So age wasn't significant, as expected. Global volume wasn't significant, but RPPC gray matter volume was almost significant. So even in this very strict test, we almost passed. And this is just for anyone who's interested in model comparison. If we take into account the parameters, so first of all, we show that if we include the gray matter volume of RPPC in our model, it's always significant, no matter what other parameters we include, age and gray matter, global gray matter volume. And if we take into account the number of parameters, these two models seem to be doing the best job in explaining the variance in our data. So just to summarize, older adults, at least under some circumstances, these specific circumstances, are more risk averse than young adults, and the changes, the decrease in right PPC gray matter volume seem to mediate these age-related changes. Now, why is it important? I think it's important for several reasons. First, we can begin to More than that, when we had this finding just in young adults, we couldn't really say what happens at the neural level because gray matter cortical volume can have many correlates. It's not necessarily related or associated with lower computational capacity. But in older adults, we know that it probably is. And so it suggests that risk aversion might have a link to computational capacity, and it's something I'm happy to talk about more later. And also from the practical perspective, we might have, because we have these scans, structural scans of many, many people in the population, it might not be ethical or feasible right now, but in principle, it's feasible to use these data in order to estimate distributions of risk attitude in huge populations of people. It's much quicker and easier because the data